Hello, I'm Rob Slade, and welcome to my YouTube channel, You're Still Here. And today is going to be short and simple. We're going to talk about the 3 easy steps to overcome stress and anxiety and perform at your absolute maximum. Step 1 is going to become a scholar of what you're about ready to do, which means you need to gather every bit of knowledge, read every book, gather every YouTube, gather every video, talk to people, interview people, and actually become a downright scholar of whatever activity you're about ready to do and want to master. That's regardless whether I'm fixing the sink in my house, or whether I'm going to become a master athlete, or whether I'm going to try and do very well at my job. The first step I need to know is first off learn everything about what I need to get into. Step 2 is going to be, then I need to drill it, because I can't just leave it and I read the book and I'm going to go do it. I can't tell you how many times I've read books and then gone to do it and fixing my Jeep and everything else and find, my God, it's nothing like this. I didn't know this little bolt here was going to be that hard to get off. I didn't know that this thing was going to be that difficult to move. So you need to then move to the next step. After you become a scholar and have read every bit of information on what you're about ready to do, you need to go drill it. And by drilling, I mean in very, very task-specific, very sport-specific drills that you will be required to do the job that you're going to be asked to do. Which means I don't go and practice shooting by doing ladders. I don't do calisthenics and CrossFit if I want to learn how to dodge well. I need to learn how to dodge well by doing drills very specific to the dodging I'm about ready to do. So what I've done is I've taken the knowledge and understood why I dodge the way I do, what works, what doesn't, and then I come up with very, very skill-specific drills, almost mimicking to a T what I'm going to be required to do in a game. So if I don't do that, then the drills don't become relevant to what I'm asked to do. And the problem I have is kids will say here, well, I do a lot of ladders. But there's not a whole lot in ladders that actually identify with actually dodging to a goal or running a football on football or fixing my furnace or fixing my sink or anything else. What I get good at then is I get good at doing the ladders. What I drill is what I get good at. So if what I have as a drill doesn't directly impact what I'm trying to get out of it, I get good at what the drill does, but I don't get good at what I want for the end product to be. So after I gain the knowledge, after I become a scholar, then I have to drill it in very skill-specific drills. The third step is then I got to do it. I got to do it in a very, very, very controlled manner in order for that to place and happen. So I can't just leave any one of those 3 out or I don't get the results that I want. To give you an example, I'm going to talk to you about my typical scuba diving class. When students came into my class, we sat there and read books. We had chapters to read with homework, and then we solved problems. Everything was done on paper, and I explained to them the physics behind diving, what pressure did, what displacement of water did. We went to Archimedes' principle. I'm like, Archimedes' principle, what does that have to do with diving? It has a whole lot to do with it. Boyle's law for pressure and things of that sort all had a lot to do with the sport you're about ready to do. Because by giving you that knowledge, then you can become a very independent diver when you're out there and be able to think for yourself. After that, then we took them to the pool. We had a whole series of pool classes. And every drill we did in the pool was related to what we'd be required to do when we do your checkout dive and real diving. We even went to the point of wearing wetsuits in the pool because I don't know if you ever worn a wetsuit before, but it's extremely, extremely restrictive. So by doing that in the pool, it wasn't a shock to them when we finally went out and did the real thing. We learned how to replace and flood and clear your mask and regulator with mittens on. I don't know if you ever worn mittens before, but they don't have the dexterity of your fingers. But they also keep your hands very warm in really cold water. You need to be wearing them. So all your skills were done in the pool over and over and over again. When I did mask clearing, my mask clearing drill lasted about an hour and a half. We would do mask clearing every which way possible, including putting a mask in front of it with aluminum foil so you couldn't see. We'd have you turn upside down and clear your mask, sideways, replacing mask with somebody else's mask. We had mask replacement roundabout, where you would go around and just pass the mask down, clear it, and then hand it to the next person. All that was done for one reason, to get as specifically close to the sport you're about ready to do, which was going to be our checkout dive, as we could get. So between the book work and the gaining the knowledge and the drilling in the pool, then we moved to the third step. After the first 2 steps, I didn't just say, here's your card, and here we go out and dive. Because once I signed that card, I had to be convinced that you were going to be a safe enough diver that I was willing to sign off on it. Then we took you to the checkout dive. The checkout dive was exactly what it sounds like. It was a checkout dive. That was an open water dive in a quarry, which was as close to the real thing, in fact, it was the real thing, but in a controlled situation. We went and did a series of mass clearing drills and things like that in the open water. We did open water swimming. We would be able to go down and dive lower than 30 feet, learn how to deal with real pressure changes, cold water, and all the things for real diving. But the problem was that we just didn't turn them loose and say, here's your checkout dive, just go. The third step was a controlled open water dive, where we would monitor them and they would go through a series of drills again in real life situations. And we did that for 2 days. Finally, after the second day of your checkout dive, we then said, okay guys, go off and dive. And then we could be rest assured that they would be safe and that they had been through every scenario they could possibly run into when they were diving. And they all became really good divers. And they could enjoy the sport much more. Now, had we taken those divers and said, here, we're gonna give you a 15-minute how to put the tank on and how to breathe off of it, that would have left them with a lot of anxiety. And they would not have been capable to do what they were doing, and they would have certainly not been safe. So again, the 3 steps we did in teaching scuba diving are the same 3 steps I do to teach an athlete now how to perform their sport. We gain all the knowledge we can. I become an encyclopedia for these students in here learning sports about everything about the skills they're related to do, why they do them, and how they do them, and the physics and science behind it. Step 2, again, very realistic drills. The pool was nothing but drills for 2 hours, 2 nights a week. And that was then drilling them in everything that they were going to come up into in the open water, including putting wetsuits on and going down and learn how to do things with restrictive movement and mittens on. Then the step 3 was go do it. But go do it in also a very controlled manner that also was teaching and learning. When I have athletes in here, we give them the knowledge. I have very realistic drills they're required to do. And then just like I had a team from Florida in here the other day, we did a controlled game. Controlled scrimmage. They're playing, I stop them, correct things, move them around on the field like chess pieces, and then by the time we finish, they're playing the way they should be playing from all the previous 2 steps we've learned. And then yesterday, they went out, and I think they all did really great yesterday. Hopefully they turned around and did everything we taught them how to do. So if you want to relieve anxiety and stress, perform at your best ability you can, then again, follow these very 3 simple steps. Become a scholar of what you're doing, drill it in very realistic skills that you're required to play that sport, and then you go out and do it. But do it in the sense that you're doing it to learn as much on that final phase as you can. Don't just go out and say, we're just going to go out and scrimmage and we're going to play, and then expect to be able to perform any different. Not only that, the final real part of this is, I have to do this long enough that all the drills and all the skills and everything I learned become instinctive. Especially when you're an athlete that has done the same thing for years and years. You're not going to overcome and get rid of the old bad habits by doing 1 or 2 sessions. It's going to take numerous ones to finally overcome and do the new skills. And then it's got to become instinct. When I'm out there performing my job, or I'm doing a job such as firefighting, police department, scuba diving, any of those skills, and certainly in sports, I don't have the time to think. If I have to have the time to think, it slows everything down. If I don't think, then I revert back to what I used to do, not what I want to do new. So you have to take the process I just gave you and repeat it over and over and over again till the point where you have perfect instinct in it. But even then, just like keeping in shape physically, you need to keep doing this to keep your sharp skills in shape. So with all those 3 steps, whether it's for performing your job, whether it's performing your sport, or even fixing the sink at your house, there's a reason why a plumber does the job fixing my sink 5 times faster than I ever could, because he's just done 4 or 5 other jobs the day before. Okay? So, with those, go out, perform better, relieve your stress, go in and have a great time, and we'll see you all next week.